Hello everybody and welcome back to Sin City Living. Apologies for not having posted as much lately as I usually do. Been a busy couple of weeks, schedule changes, a lot of things going on at work, but hopefully I can get myself back into the swing of things, so we'll be bringing you guys some more videos. As always, a shout out of appreciation to our patrons. All those tips of support are very appreciated. Once we get the live stream going, we're probably going to do a patron only live stream, but otherwise right now I hope you guys are enjoying the videos that we're able to put out with the entire How to Deal Dice class. So should have a couple more of those coming out in the next couple of days. And for everybody else, please keep an eye. We're still struggling getting the live stream going. I think I've got the equipment. I'm just having some issues, compatibility issues, but I'm going to get them figured out. We're going to get the live streams going, starting out with the craps tournament. Right now I only have about 7 or 8 players, but I'm hoping that a few more of you guys will email us with some interest in it. We are going to have to back the time up from Thursdays at 6 to probably 4:30. My schedule did change. I no longer have Thursdays off. But yeah, that being said, if you're curious about the Patreon live streams and stuff like that, just check the description of the video down below. And otherwise, we're going to go ahead and jump right into today's video. So for today's video, we're going to do a crossfire basically on paying your dues. What it's like as a dealer. I mean, we've already had our how to become a dealer, what it's like breaking in, so on and so forth. But paying your dues. It's something that people definitely have to keep in mind when they go into this industry. This is like any other job, you know. It's a job. It's a job, and first off, it's not going to be for everybody. No. There's definitely been it's a remarkably easy job. It really is, but it's definitely not for everybody. Most of the time, when it's not for somebody, I would say more often than not, it's more because of their attitude. Yeah, less because of their skill set. Now, don't get me wrong, there are people that go to dealing schools, really struggle learning how to deal, and once they start working, they discover they really do not have the skill set for it, but that's pretty rare. The most basic stuff, blackjack especially.
3-card?
It's a 3-card. It's not that difficult for, I'd say 98% of people. Right. So the ones that don't cut it, typically they don't cut it because of attitude. But as far as paying your dues go, it's like anything else. You got to start at the bottom and move up. It's just like, you know, all those people that go to college for 4 years, they graduate, they go to their first job, and they end up quitting. I know quite a few people have done that because they thought they were going to graduate and go into a $150,000 a year job, when in reality they were going to graduate and they were going to go into a $30,000 a year job for a couple of years while they worked their way up and basically pay their dues. Yep. Same thing with dealing. I mean, you got your tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4 casinos, and I mean, sure, there's places that make $100,000 a year. Absolutely. Or really close. Really close.
There's some that make more, there's some that make around there.
The upper level is generally floating between 85 to 95 a year, but that's, again, rare. There's places like that, but it's rare. Most people are pretty happy when they land at the places that are about $55,000 a year, because out here in Vegas, that'll pay your bills, that'll enable you to have a family, you'll be able to have a life, a normal, you know, 2.5 kids, white picket fence, all that. It's the half a kid is the toughest one.
I can imagine.
So yeah, you can have a life. It's a good living, and you know, those places are spread out. There's enough of them here in Vegas that it can be a good living if you pay your dues. Getting up into the tier 3, tier 4 casinos, you got to start somewhere that's $25 a day in tips. I mean, you got to start somewhere where you're making like $12,000 a year, $15,000 a year, unless you're really lucky or you know somebody. But even then, even if you get into a slightly better place as a break-in where you make a little bit more money, you still got to pay those dues to get to that next step. And what's some of the crap you have to put up with?
Oh man, you got to put up with a lot of the players. A lot of the players, they'll break in and they'll put you through the ringer, but that there is only going to make you stronger as a dealer. And notice when you first break in, a lot of those shitty players will more often than not go to you. They're not going to go to the seasoned vet that's seen it all and knows these people. And you'll actually see that some of these players are nice to the seasoned vets. They've paid their dues. They've earned their respect. they know that they can't get one over on them, so they become friendly. They pay their dues. We're all eating a big turd sandwich together, okay? You just gonna take a few bigger bites in the beginning, and then later on towards the end, you know, the bites get a lot smaller.
They get a little bit smaller, but you're still taking a bite every so often, or if nothing else, you're at least getting a sniff.
Right, you're getting a little whiff of it. But yeah, you take a lot of crap from the players because they know they can get over on you, and that in itself is you know you're gonna get stronger as a dealer. You're gonna learn how to interact and deal with these people. And the same thing with the floors and some of the other dealers.
Yep.
They're gonna give you a hard time too. They're gonna question every little thing you do, even if you think you know it all. They don't know you. They don't know you. And let's say you do know a fair amount, and excuse me, you know the basic payouts, you know procedures and whatnot. They're still gonna question everything you do. Hey, how much are you giving them? They're gonna sit back and watch and.
Hey, you don't need to do that move, or hey, that move is silly, or just give them this change. Stop doing all those moves. Give them that change. Move on.
Oh yeah, and even on blackjack too, you'll see the floors. They're standing. Maybe you can't see them, but they're at the podium. They're watching you. They're watching to see how you handle action, how you interact with people, the way you cut checks out, the way you pay people.
Do you take things personal?
Do you take things personal? That's one thing that a lot of people, when they first get into the business, do. They take things personal.
Yep. I mean, it's definitely not going to be the business for you if you can't handle somebody cussing at you. It's going to happen. Now, yeah, we shut that down, or a good floor will shut that down.
Right.
But it's going to happen. It actually happens more on blackjack than it does on craps, oddly enough. Because when it happens on craps, there's a floor literally right there hearing it, and we will handle it on the spot. Whereas in blackjack, that floor has 6 tables to watch, so they may not hear it. And amazingly, when the floor shows up, suddenly the player is on their best behavior and is just the most perfect person. But you have to be able to handle it. You can't get mad. You can't get angry. You can't get frustrated. Any of those things, even if you're right, it doesn't matter if you're right or not. If you get angry, if you get frustrated, to the floors, that means you are a weak dealer, takes things personally with a bad attitude. That means you're not going to make it in the industry.
I will say this. Once you pay your dues, though, and maybe you're putting up with a lot of that crap because you're in a tier 1. Once you get to that tier 4 casino, you as a dealer can shut that down. Why? Because you've earned your right to be there. You paid your dues. You're at the top of the top. And if you say something, the floor's going to back you up. And you yourself have earned the right to shut them down as a dealer. You paid your dues. You put up with all that crap going from the tier 1 to tier 2 to the tier 3, maybe back to a tier 2, moving side to side and finally working your way up. You can shut that down. And even if you are still on the lower end, not saying you're a bad dealer, maybe you got comfortable and you said, you know what, I'm fine here.
That happens a lot.
And it does. He's 100% right. You get, you want to hang out at that tier 2, tier 3 casino. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a comfortable living. You have a good job with good benefits, great friends. But you finally earn the right to shut those other people down. And maybe you're a supervisor, and then now you can start shutting them down even more.
And that's the thing too. Once it's partially that you've built up the skill and put in the time to be able to stand up for yourself, but it's also partially because when you get to these tier 3, tier 4 casinos, you're also getting to tier 3, tier 4 supervisors.
Right.
And they're going to be a lot stronger. They're going to back you up a lot more. They're not going to fold to the players that are clearly in the wrong, or even possibly marginally maybe in the wrong. So you have tier 3, tier 4 dealers, and you also have tier 3, tier 4 supervisors. That makes a big difference.
It does.
Huge difference.
One thing about paying dues that I want to add on to, the lower end of not casino, but the lower tier casino they're going to sweat the money. And you're going to eat a lot of crap if you give a lot of that away. If
you're what they call a dump truck?
Yeah, if you're singing on craps, or you're just giving it all away on blackjack, roulette, or whatever, you might get sent home early. You might get pulled off the game. You might get a talking to at the podium. Yes,
you might get a penny thrown under your table.
I've gotten kicked under the table before. I've gotten hit on the arm. I've gotten sent home early. I've gotten all kinds of stuff like that, But you got to pay your dues. It's what it is. You're making less money than a lot of other people, which is,
It's tough at first. It is, definitely.
you got to earn the right to make more money, to deal the bigger games, to deal other games. Maybe you're only dealing blackjack, and you have the knowledge to deal other games, but you're just stuck dealing blackjack. It happens.
Yeah, or maybe you just do one of their top blackjack people. Sometimes that happens as well.
Sometimes that happens.
I mean, once you get known as one of their better or best dealers or strongest dealers, they're keeping an eye on the action too, and they're shuffling dealers around. You may find yourself on the hardest games, and it's not because they don't like you, it's because they believe you can handle it.
Right.
And getting to that point requires, like you said, time. Pay your dues, put in the work, and grow. One of the things that stops people is between the 6-month and 3-year mark is when dealers suddenly start feeling like they have mastered the job. And are as great a dealer as they're ever going to be, and they stop learning, they stop getting better. You know, I mean, I would say this with, you know, let's just look at not even we'll look at high limit action. Okay, let's say high limit action. There are maybe a dozen places in this town with true high limit action, but probably 12 to 15 places in this town that get some level of high limit action, say buy-ins of at least 100,000 or more. And so, you know, with all those places, you would think that there's you know, like an elite tier of dealers. But when it comes to the base mechanics and skill of being able to deal, I would go so far as to say that there are probably, I mean, there's got to be 100,000 dealers in this town, with maybe 5 to 10,000 of them working at places with high limit action. But I would go so far as to say that there's probably maybe a fifth to a quarter of all the dealers out there can deal it. They actually have the skill, they have the ability, they have the knowledge. What they lack is the right attitude.
Right.
Or drive. Sometimes it's drive, sometimes it's attitude. But I've seen plenty of people that have the skill set, but they have very, very poor attitudes. And it's in a variety of ways. It doesn't necessarily mean like someone that's like a jerk to the players or something like that. It can also mean too cocky. You know, the cocky ones tend to make the most mistakes because they're so cocky that they think they can't do any wrong and they get sloppy.
Right.
You know, and then they're cocky and they're arrogant about it, and it's rubbing everyone the wrong way. Sometimes they legitimately do have some skill. I've known a couple of dealers that were legitimately average to above average dealers that I honestly couldn't stand, and it was because of their attitude, and not because they were jerks, just because of their attitude, the other aspects of their attitude.
That's one thing. Just to add on to that, you're right. It's the attitude, 100%. I knew a few people that were at that are still at the same break-in casino I am, and it's not that they don't have the ability. Sometimes it's the attitude, and I'm not saying it's a negative attitude. Sometimes they don't think they're good enough. They still think that they need to pay their dues at that joint. You still have dues to pay, but not at that place. For the most part, there's some people that I know that are still at the, you know, my break-in casino that have been there for years and years, and they've mastered every game at that level to the point where I personally think some of them should move up to the next level. Some of them I know can't because they have, you know, steady jobs, steady income. They have a wife and children and whatnot. But I mean, there's some other ones that they have the potential, and
they won't realize it.
Right.
Yeah. Oh, that's true, by the way. Some people won't move up because they've gotten full-time and they need those benefits. Because one thing with moving, like going up to the next tier, is you go from full-time to part-time again.
You gotta start over.
And you got to build your way back up. And the higher tier you go, the longer it takes at that part-time level. Yeah. So some people, especially people married, children, or like an ill spouse or something like that, they can't afford to lose those benefits.
Right.
So that's another reason some people get stuck.
Yeah.
You know, what he's talking about, that confidence thing, think of it this way. Your tier 1 casino requires about this level of skill. You're a break-in, you come in and you've got that. Okay? And there's some people that have these self-confidence issues. They are right there, but they think they still need to keep paying their dues and keep learning more. They don't understand that it's not that they've mastered what they are doing, but they've simply reached the highest level that that casino has for any kind of action. So then they need to go to their Tier 2 casino. I get the right, I did. Go to the Tier 2 casino.
That is a great way you're doing it. That is.
And it has a different level. It has a different level of action. They come in right here. They're acceptable. You know, they're about middle of the road. They're acceptable. They're acceptable to start learning again. And now they need to slowly, a month, 3 months, 6 months at a time, a year at a time, get to where now they're not going to learn anything more at this Tier 2 casino.
Right.
And why? Because they've reached the limit of what that casino requires of them and what that casino's action will ever need.
Right.
So, but if they don't go anywhere, they're never going to be able to reach that level.
Right. It's hard to get to that level for sure. I mean, if there's one thing you can practice all you want, practicing it, you know, which is phenomenal. It's great. I love when people still practice. I still practice.
Never stop practicing.
And then they start practicing high limit. And what I used to practice what I thought was high limit before I got to where I'm at now, I thought high limit was a certain level, and then I started seeing like high limit, and then I started seeing high limit, that you're locked away in a private room that nobody has access, that nobody can get into, and you're being watched by everybody, and guys got millions of dollars on the layout. That's even like that I never thought what I would see.
You know, it's funny. When dealers are learning how to deal, I did the same. I know he did the same. When dealers are in the dealing school, they always want to start playing around with the blacks.
Yeah.
I always want to start doing like presses to the black and how to deal to the black and all that. And we keep telling them, like, dude, you're going somewhere where you need to know how to deal the reds instinctively. You need to be able to deal that reds without thinking about it. Don't worry about this. But when you're going to dealing school, this is your version of high limit.
Yeah.
And in reality, you see this at your breaking casino. Not often, but you see this at the breaking casino. So then when you're at your Tier 1 casino, you start looking, you know, it's a big deal if the 500s ever hit the table.
Oh, yeah.
That's like a massive deal. All of a sudden, you've got this huge high roller.
High limit. Oh, shit.
And then one day, you're just like, 500, you just put the 500s out? All right, whatever. You know, the thousands are out. Oh, okay, cool.
I've seen chips, and I've dealt with chips that people don't even know exist. That they're not even the same size, you know? So, I mean, and it all comes with paying your dues. In terms of where I'm at right now, in terms of that high limit action, I'm still paying my dues. Like, I still see stuff to this day that that I'm not completely 100% sure with, and it still takes me a while to think of things. And
yeah, you got to gear yourself up to it too. It's not that you're unable; it's you're not used to seeing that action.
Right.
That's all. Most of the action we see, we get reflexive on it. It's this muscle memory. I mean, sometimes when I'm on autopilot, I deal the best.
And it doesn't matter what level or what casino you're still going to get stroked every now and then. I mean, I got stroked pretty hard the other day.
Like a Thai massage parlor with a discount coupon.
Like imagine, so you see people, you know, the lower end casinos, they're getting stroked with like $3 bets, $5 bets, $10, $15, whatever. I'm getting like almost $100,000 worth of stroked.
Some of those bets for glorious.
Oh my God, I won't tell the story on here.
Nope.
Not yet, at least, but maybe in the future I'll tell this story, but it was...
It was glorious.
Oh,
it was
goodness.
glorious. It was absolutely, it was great.
Oh,
it was a great
goodness.
story. Do you have anything else coming up near the end?
Just stick with it. The attitude is gonna get you places. You have a good attitude. You going in knowing you're gonna have to pay dues. It's gonna make it a lot easier on you. Always be open-minded. Just know that.
Keep learning.
Yes, keep learning. Keep an open mind. Never stop learning. Know you're gonna have to pay your dues and eat a lot of shit, but the longer you do it and the more time and effort you put in, it's gonna get a lot easier.
Alrighty. I'm Jason.
Louis.
Sin City Living, and this episode of Crossfire. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate every single one of you guys, and we will catch you guys next time. Bye now. Okay guys, so as I promised at the end of the videos, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the live stream and how it's going to work. So the first thing is, if you're interested in being one of the players for our craps tournaments, which is we're going to have every single week, please email us at sincitylivinglv@gmail.com. I need the email addresses and want to know who is interested so that we can get it set up and we can select it. I'm going to have the first round is going to be 16 players. There'll be 4 players per week. The 5th week is going to be the 4 champions from the previous weeks to get an ultimate champion. Haven't decided yet what the prize will be. Maybe I'll see if I can pick up another one of these lights. But we'll have some sort of prize for our champion. So please, if you're interested, email us. I want to pick the first 8 players, the first 2 weeks worth of players, so that we'll have the first 4 ready for the first week, and the other 4 will be kind of backup, just in case somebody has connection issues or something comes up and they're not able to play that week. Then I've got the other players on standby, so I can just bump one of them up or maybe shift the first person down or something along those lines. The main tournament is going to be Thursdays at 6 o'clock my time, Las Vegas time, 6 p.m. Las Vegas time. And it's the way it's going to work is it's going to be a time thing. I'm going to do the live stream for an hour. I'm going to do the game for an hour, rather. And it might work out to about 30 rolls, might work out to about 40 rolls. I'm not too sure. We'll see how it goes. But it's going to be time. It's going to be an hour. Instead of the craps tournaments that they do down on the strip where it's 30 rolls, we're going to do an hour. So I want to make sure I have a finite time limit for this to start with, and then we will go from there. I'm going to find a way, either a Discord or a Zoom or a private chat room, some way for the players to be logged into something where I can communicate with them on my second computer, so that they can tell me what their bets are, what they want to bet, what they want to press when something hits, without me having to scroll through the full chat of the live stream itself. I'm not going to be able to keep an eye on that, and if we have enough people watching and chatting, it could be difficult to keep an eye. So I have to figure that part out. Another reason I need the emails, so I can communicate back and forth with the potential players. So if you're interested, again, please email me. Eventually, just pretty much everybody's going to have an opportunity to be in on these things, because we're going to do multiple ones. I'm also looking at probably doing a second craps tournament, maybe late Wednesday nights, possibly, I'm not sure, where I'm going to do it a little bit different. The second one is going to be, instead of 1 hour and then whoever's got the most chips is the winner, because those craps tournaments tend to have really weird strategies. They're not normal strategies that you'd see in normal play, because you're competing against other players and you just want to make sure you have more chips than them by the end. What I'm going to do with the second tournament is, instead of a weekly winner, we're going to play for an hour, and then I'll keep track of how much money people still have on there, or how many chips they still have. And then the next week, same players are going to keep going. Basically, this game will go until the bankrolls end, until we have one person with money left, or chips left. Again, there's no money involved in this. So once we have one final winner, so people will drop out as their play money bankrolls expire, as they run out of chips. So that one, I'm guessing we'll see some more normal strategies, the kind of things people actually play when they're actually playing craps. And then eventually we're going to add baccarat, pai gow, 3-card poker, blackjack, of course, to these tournaments. Whatever we can, to these live streams and live stream tournaments, whatever we can, when we can, as best we can. We're going to have to figure it out as we go. We have a lot of time constraints between me working full-time plus a child. But we're going to do the best we can. We're very, very excited to have this going. And we also will try and pick a day or time where I can do a patron exclusive tournament or two. We'll see. We'll see how many of our patrons are interested, and see if we can't get that going as well, where it's only on the patron site. So definitely stay tuned, guys. Please, if you're interested in playing in one of the tournaments or partaking in our live streams, aside from just the chat, obviously it's a live stream. Please watch, chat with us, let us know how it's going or what you think, and otherwise, please, again, email us, sincityliving.lv@gmail.com. Otherwise, I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. Any suggestions, please hit us up. Thank you guys very, very much. We appreciate every single one of you guys, and we will catch you guys next time. Bye now.